Greetings. Considering everything that's going on in these United Snakes of America, I would be a big letdown to my brethren and sistren and the few subscribers I have if I didn't make a video on it. Now, everybody's up in arms, everybody's protesting, which is a very good thing because somehow or the other we need to make our voices known. One of the things you hear them complaining about is that the protests are converting themselves into riots, etc. Now, first, I never got the concept of a peaceful protest. If people are protesting, it's because they're disgusted, they're tired, they're fed up of something. Even little children do it. We call it tantrums. But basically, they express their disgust in a manner that that causes you some discomfort. And that is the objective of a protest. We're trying to create discomfort so that people can understand that Black Lives Matter. Now, you have another group of people who come up and say stuff like, all lives matter. We never said all lives didn't matter. We're saying that Black Lives Matter. And for the effects of this discussion and what's going on to black folks, especially in places like America, we need to let this be known because white guys who murdered 9 people in a church can get taken to Burger King. But then you have a black guy who allegedly gave a shopkeeper a fake $20 bill. He ends up dead on the road like a dog. We've got the case of Sandra Bland, who missed a turning signal or had a tail light out. She ended up dead. We had another case of a police officer going in the wrong apartment mistakenly. The black guy ends up dead. We got another one where black guy following all the police orders and he's letting the police know, look, I'm a licensed firearm holder, I have a firearm. He ends up dead. Then you got a white guy who goes on the run after killing 2 people and injuring a third. He puts them on an interstate manhunt for 6 days and he's picked up without a scratch. But then you kill black people because your lives are in danger. Now, riddle me this. How can an unarmed black man endanger your life, but a white man who is killed and goes on the run does not? And that's part of this, what you might call subliminally blatant or blatantly subliminal, however you want to put it, message of racism in America and the world at large. It starts from the school curriculum. Until we address historical lies taught throughout our schools, racism will persist. And that's why I said subliminal, because it is to the point where you don't even realize that it's affecting your mind. But when you sit down and you think, when you really think outside the box, when you cast aside all the fallacies and delusions that white supremacists and racists who want to control the world have come up with to dehumanize, devalue, distract from the achievements of blacks, you will realize this. If you think about it, the Chinese get credit for the build for the Great China Wall. The Aztecs and the Incas and them get credit for their pyramids. Yet somehow or the other, African pyramids were built by spacemen, or you hear things like Europeans built these pyramids, despite the fact some of these pyramids are older than the advent of the European on this planet. So these are some of the things you hear. Every discovery, every scientific advancement, scientific names, these are all things that they're all accredited to white men. One of the most common ones you hear like Columbus and Walter Raleigh and these other white boys discovered the new world. So basically, they're discrediting, they're nullifying the fact that there were people living in these places when they got here. African coins and currency was found in the so-called New World when the first European got here. Why? Because there are trade winds and waves and currents of water that actually take you in a circle from Africa South to South and North America. And Africans have been traveling to these places way before these white boys. That's another thing. A white cop arrests or approaches an elderly black person, and they will never refer to them as sir. It's always boy. So these are the little subliminally blatant psychological imprinting of racism that they use. And until they address the school curriculum, addressing laws and police reform and all the other crap they've been talking about, will not do anything, because children will continue to go to school and white children will continue to feel great and proud because they and their people have this, their ancestors did everything, and blacks and non-whites will continue to feel devalued because their people did nothing. And that is the subliminally blatant or the blatantly subliminal message of racism. Now, I have a lot of people who come up on my videos and other things like, well, I'm not racist, I'm not racist. Okay, maybe you aren't, but are you anti-racist? Now you're seeing a few white folks coming out in support of Black Lives Matter because they understand that it's immoral that as an evolved species supposedly higher in intelligence than the others, that is unacceptable. And until these that come on my posts and my videos and repeat crap like pirates, I'm not racist, until they can say, I am anti-racist, I am against racism and Black Lives Matter, then your words fall on deaf ears. I really don't care. Some of them will say, well, Black Lives Matter promotes black supremacy and racism. To be honest, to be racist, you have to have systems that enforce racism. So, as I said, the school curriculum that starts to nurture the minds of the individual who will go on to make up a society. And then you have institutions, the courts, the police. The police in America has a history. If you look at Black and African history, there's no records of police stations or institutions to imprison people. Yeah, did they have crime? Did they have wrongdoers? Yes, but they had other ways of dealing with them. The policing was brought about to recapture slaves who, according to a white American psychologist, suffered from drapetomania because they escaped slavery. They had this desire to roam. Yet still they go and walk through the wilderness and the woods and all these things, but that is perfectly okay. They actually found a psychological pathology for blacks who wanted their freedom as humans. People would say, well, other races were enslaved too and all this other bull crap. Yeah, but how many were taken thousands of miles from their home continent, stripped of everything? And to this day, they're still trying to strip us of our humanity. We were put in zoos in places like Germany. So don't come to me with other people who were enslaved. And if they were compensated after slavery was abolished. The Japanese got compensation for Hiroshima. The Jews still get compensation of American taxpayers and other taxpayers' dollars every year. The Native Americans, even though they were robbed and are still being robbed, they got put on reservations. We were promised 40 acres and a mule in America and never got anything. And the reason they did that is because they realized that as long as they allow us to gain a firm footing, we would get back ahead. And that is why the white Roman Catholic Church ordained and blessed all of white Europe, despite having different languages, to go and invade and rape and pillage and plunder and slaughter Africans. And that is why you have African countries who were colonies of almost every European nation except Germany. And that could have been one of the reasons for the Germans starting a war, because they felt robbed. So this deeper than police reform. Will police reform help? Maybe. Will defunding the police help? Maybe. But you need to start from historical inaccuracies, lies, fallacies, and other delusions of grandeur and white supremacy, which are oxymorons. The progenitor of the human race, the most genetically diverse beings on the planet, are the Africans. So we can safely be said to be the progenitors of the human race. The last to evolve from us is the albino who perfected his phenotype and became what you call a Caucasian today. Some of them crossbred with Neanderthals, so they have a different mindset, a different psyche, and that's what you see in the KKK and a lot of these other psychotic, mentally ill individuals who think that the lack of melanin makes them superior to those who possess it. So, think on it, share it if you want to, subscribe, and remember, there's nothing wrong with saying Black Lives Matter. We're not saying other lives don't, but because we are the only ones who are treated the way we are treated, it is pertinent to let it be known that our lives matter, because without us, there could have never been any of you. Jah lives.